What's up today, guys? Jim here. I got Caleb as well on the line, like usual, and Josh Ayers is on the line.
Hey
Uh,
guys.
Not to be mistaken with Josh Ayers, which is what I've been calling him. He's been on a couple times already. We did a training, I think it was bonus 001, that you can find it on our Doors to Deals website, about 10 elements of creating a high conversion website. And then we also did the importance of follow-up systems where you can kind of turn some of your leads into a couple extra deals a month by implementing the right follow-up systems. Both of those were fantastic episodes that we did. If you haven't checked them out yet, for sure do that. And today, really, we kind of just wanted to dive down into marketing for deals a little bit more, because quite honestly, like I've been doing this 13 years. And I don't ever get sick of it. I love it. And it's something that's important for us to continually be sharpened and our tool set on and to be thinking about. So Josh is has a lot of marketing knowledge, and we're going to dive into that a little bit. So Josh, why don't you just do kind of a quick recap for those of you for those of us that haven't, listened to any of those other two episodes yet, and then we'll just dive into it.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Josh Ayers. I'm the director of marketing at REI Blackbook. So for those of you that aren't familiar with REI Blackbook, it's kind of an all-in-one CRM website, phone system for real estate investors. And so I've been with the company for about 7 years now. And so over the course of those years with REI Blackbook, I've worked with tons of investors, all shapes and sizes, folks that are just getting started out, all the way to investment companies that are doing 200 to 300 deals a year. And one of the common things that I see in businesses that are consistently closing deals is that they're consistently marketing, right? So no matter how busy you get, you really need to make sure that you've got a marketing machine on the front end that's continuing to bring you in new leads so you can set new appointments, make more offers, and ultimately close more deals. And so at REI Blackbook, we really focus on helping investors build systems so they can do just that.
What would you say so today's about marketing. What's your favorite way to market for more deals?
I think there's kind of the either the new age or kind of what's hot right now, and then there's what's proven to work. And I think that you really need a healthy mix. If you're just getting started out, the answer is probably different than if you've been in business for a few years. But I think, the one marketing channel, and it's funny, like you can look on podcasts, you can look on blogs every single year. You can always count on people saying, does direct mail still work? And the answer, at least since I've been in the industry for the last 7 years up until today, is still yes, direct mail still works. So I think that everybody should have some sort of a direct mail strategy just because it's so reliable, so predictable. Now, sometimes response rates go up. Sometimes response rates go way down. I think everybody realizes that it is a numbers game. And there certainly are channels out there that are more attractive than direct mail. For example, cold texting, cold calling. The problem with a lot of that is those marketing channels operate in the gray at best. And there's a lot of things that are coming down right now. Some of it's legislature that's being passed. There's some things happening with at the carrier level, meaning like Verizon and I guess Sprint's not around anymore, T-Mobile, AT&T, and these types of companies that they're trying to make it harder for marketers to go out and just do these cold texting campaigns. And so similar to email marketing back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where, Gmail and Yahoo and Hotmail and all those providers back in the day, they want to make the experience of email a good experience. So they created all these spam filters. So that's happening right now with carriers, with the carrier level for mobile providers, because AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile, they want text messaging to continue to be a viable communication channel because that's how they get paid. So they don't want marketers to come in and ruin that for them. So what they're doing, regardless of what the Supreme Court rules or legislature that gets passed by Congress, regardless of what happens there, they're taking it upon themselves to make sure that the communication channel of texting, ringless voicemail fits in there too, even cold calling, especially if you're using like robo-dialers and things, it's going to become harder. So that was a long-winded answer to a short question, but in summary, I think I would have a tried and true, direct mail's for the foreseeable future is going to work, as advertised. You can send out mail. You're probably going to get a 0.5% to 1.5%, 2% response rate. And that's a numbers game, but there are always these kind of new and interesting ways to go generate leads. And for the past couple of years, it's been cold texting and it's been cold calling. But a lot of times you kind of get slapped after a while because either laws get passed or things that are things that are happening right now becomes increasingly difficult if that's your only means of generating leads.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of give you all's Three Doors Properties, kind of like what we've been doing on the marketing side. So we are doing a lot of text blasting now. Yep. We got into it a little bit. We started doing it before people started doing it. Then we got a little leery of some of the legislation and some of the laws and things, so we kind of stopped doing it, and then we got back into it a little bit late. But it did take us. We were working on it every single day for about 6 months before we really started kind of seeing a steady deal flow from it. So that's one of the principles that I always talk about on marketing is like the consistency and having that same mindset of, if I'm going to get really good at free throws, I'm going to shoot 1,000 free throws. If I want to get really good at cold calling, I have to call 1,000. I have to call thousands of people. I want to get really good at texting. I need to do it every day. So whatever channel you choose, there isn't a free lunch. It's going to take skill development. It's going to take a lot of action, a lot of activity. And I agree with what Josh says on it. I mean, there's a window here that we're able to play around and do it. And, at some point the rules may change and you'll have to adapt and get really good at it. I think you'll still be able to do it. But you'll have to kind of, maybe just kind of blasting out 100 text messages, not knowing what you're doing and getting a deal. And those days are probably coming to an end. You're going to have to really have an advanced knowledge on it.
Yeah. And, we're putting out a lot of information about this because part of our tool is we have the ability to send text messages through our Black Book. So we're educating ourselves on this just so we can make sure that our tool is compliant. And so what you're going to have to do, for those of you that are out there and whatever tool you're using, hopefully they're doing the same thing. I would almost guarantee they are. You're going to have to register your numbers. If you're doing text messaging, you're going to have to go out and register your numbers and basically tell the carriers what you're using that number for. And so all of your phone numbers are going to have to be registered. And most of these platforms that you're sending text messages out through should make it easy for you to do that. But that's one thing that you're going to have to do. But I think the important takeaway here is that there's strategy and there's tactics, right? And so, there's always going to be new shiny tactics, new shiny ways to get in front of sellers, but you need to just make sure that you have the right strategy. And, let's take cold texting, for example. It's really just a different version, if you will, of like direct mail. Instead of sending a postcard, you're sending a text, but you still have to go and know you have to pull the right list. You have to have the right system in place to make sure the text message or the direct mail goes out on a regular basis. You need to have the processes in place to field the inbound response when somebody is interested, right? So you need to make sure that your strategy is sound first, because the tactics are going to come and go. Direct mail has been around for a long time. It's probably not going anywhere. But when something like maybe the next thing that pops up is going to be like, Facebook chat bots, who knows what it is. But if you've got your strategy in place, you're then going to know how to apply that strategy to the new tactic.
So I think this is way off topic, a little bit back. Jim, you were on the news, right, for texting so many people, auto texting years ago?
Yeah, we.
I remember
we did a timeout on it.
I remember seeing that.
So we did this big fancy build out in Podio, or we called it the Gorilla, and it was doing ringless voicemails, text messages, and it was doing it fully automated without any sort of manual inputs. And I mean, we did a lot of deals that way, but what happened was we lost control of the Gorilla. And it grew too big and too strong, and people started getting really pissed off because we weren't, they were getting multiple of it. They were getting like too much, and we thought we had controls in there to stop if they wanted us to stop, but then we still were having to do it. And it it was a neat thing that we had, and we had to stop it. And so then we were negative towards it. And with some of these new texting tools, what I like about them is it's still like a manual input, and you have a little bit, even though it may let you text 100 people in like a minute, but you still have kind of manual inputs, and you still have a little bit more control over it than when we had the Gorilla that would just set up like 10. Okay, we're gonna drip this same phone number, 10 ringless voicemails and 10 different text messages, and we had enough complaints that geez, it was like Channel 4 or something came on and like interviewed me, and that was an interesting story because like when we got the call, we were like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? Like, are we in trouble? And what do we do? Do we just do like the no comment thing, or do we like actually just gotta stand up and do the interview? And I talked to her, and I was like, what the heck? I mean, a lot of people are doing this. Like, we're just trying to make a buck like anybody. So ended up doing the interview, and to the news reporters, oh my gosh, why are my words failing me? But to her, it was nice because she like didn't come in biased, and she actually gave us a fair shake and kind of like reported it as it was. And I also got a little bit made fun of on that because it happened so quick. I was in my normal just like gym shorts and t-shirt, like and like flip flops. I like I think, I think actually, I think I had to run home, and I think I did have enough time to get a collared shirt on, but but yeah, so that's a really interesting story what happened there. But so.
Sorry, I thought that was funny while we were talking about text blasting. I remember that when that happened years ago, so I had to bring it up because I knew you weren't going to bring it up, Jim.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, so what's going to happen with text blasting specifically is that regardless of what platform you're using, there's A2P and P2P, and A2P just means application to person, and P2P means peer-to-peer. And peer-to-peer is just what it sounds like. It's you literally pick up your phone, you type out a text with your thumbs, and you send it to your friend or whoever. A2P, even if you're using some of these, quote unquote compliant texting platforms, they are compliant. But again, there's the laws and the legislature, and then there's the providers, the carriers. And so what the carriers are doing is they're saying anything that's A2P, you're going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops, or your deliverability is going to go way down. So today you might, for every 100 texts you send, maybe 60, 70, 80 get through. After all of this goes through, and it's going to be, I think, sometime in June, your throughput is going to go way down. So for every 100 you send, you might only get 20 through. And because what they're doing is they're essentially putting up spam filters, but they're not really telling anybody, what those spam filters look like. So it's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be pretty tricky. So my warning to anyone who's doing text blasting is just make sure that, number one, you're super familiar with all of the new regulations that are coming out. And number two, make sure it's not your only strategy for generating leads.
So what would you say, what's the next market at the moment? What's the next marketing? How do we get ahead? Like what do you see happening and coming up? This being the next opportunity. What
do I think is the next opportunity for lead gen? I mean, me personally, I'm a little boring, is the real answer, because I think you stick with what works really well and you double down on it. I'm a big believer in doing direct mail. I really like Facebook ads. Facebook ads is a good bolt-on strategy. If you're already doing direct mail, you're already doing texting. Because I think, instead of just trying to go and try 4 or 5, 6 different things, I think you need to find who you're trying to target and hit them 4 or 5, 6 different ways. So that way you're sending them mail, maybe you're sending them a postcard, maybe somebody's actually calling them, and you're hitting the same list 3 or 4 or 5 different ways. The thing I really like about Facebook ads specifically is there's really 2 or 3 things that I like about it. Number one is you can take the list you've already got, whether you purchased the list somewhere.
Sorry to interrupt your flow there. What you just went over, guys, is gold. It is so important. And Josh, you just breezed through that. We have to slow this down.
Sure. Yeah. Okay? Sorry. I can get going pretty fast.
So this is so important. This is like a massive secret, especially if you don't have like a huge budget. Okay. Find out. We've had Whitney Nicely on here, called it her honey hole. I had never heard of that. I thought that was funny on a previous episode. I typically call it your buy box. Okay. What is your ideal client? What's your ideal property that you want? Okay. Step one, getting crystal clear on exactly what a deal means for you.
Yep.
Exactly what you want. Okay. And then step two, get the list of those people, right? Like figure out the right ways. And then the third step, Josh just said, and I'm putting it in my words, but I mean, he did this really fast. I'm trying to slow it down a little bit. The third step is hit them multiple ways: direct mail. You can door knock. You can cold call. You can send multiple direct mails. If your list is small, maybe you send them like a couple letters that are like nicer and handwritten. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do. But the first step, make sure you get crystal clear on exactly who you're targeting. And this really works at a high level, guys.
Yeah. And, it depends on your size and your experience level, because, at scale, if you're trying to go from, doing 0 deals a month to doing 1 deal a month, then what Jim just said is 100%. I mean, it's 100% true no matter what. But as you scale up and maybe you're trying to now do 10 deals a month, 20 deals a month, well, you might have to go get a bigger list, or now you might have to go, introduce pay-per-click or something like that. But even, I mean, I know in investment companies, and Jim, I know you guys are doing a ton of deals a month. I think the trap that you can fall into is you want to try the shiny new thing before you've tried what's proven to work. So, if you're trying to get to a point where you can consistently close deals on a monthly basis, look at what has been proven to work over the last 5-10 years. And it's going and getting a list, getting super clear on what a deal is to you. Like Jim said, go get a list. Whether it's in your county or zip codes or multiple counties, and you just need to hit that list with direct mail. Like Jim said, maybe you go door knock, you can cold call. Yeah, some of this stuff is uncomfortable, but it works. It's proven to work. And then what you can also then do, what I was getting at is you can kind of layer on top of that some of these different, more kind of newer channels, like maybe text marketing or Facebook ads. And what I love about Facebook ads, and we've got some videos, Jim, I can send you some of these links to these videos if you want to post them in the show notes. But I've got some videos on YouTube that literally walk you through step by step, and they're each like 10, 15 minutes long. They're not it's not complicated to do. The thing I love about Facebook ads is you can create a 60 to 90 second video, basically shoot a commercial, and you can post it on Facebook, and you can just drop a pin and you go out, 15 miles or so. So you can drop a pin in your county, go out 15 miles, and for $5 to $10 a day, you can run basically a commercial, promoting your business and talking about how you buy properties. And you can do that for $150 to $300 a month, and you'll get tens of thousands of views on that video. Now, I know that doesn't sound, now you might not close a deal right away from that, but we're talking about $150 to $300 a month. And what that is basically is it's like a commercial for your business. And now the thing I love about Facebook is you can actually go take a look at that, and you can see how many people have watched the entire video. Now, you're not going to have their names, but you can see how many people have watched the entire video. And then you can retarget them with a very direct ad saying, hey, if you need to sell your house, click here, give us your property information. We'll submit an offer on your property. And so this is a great strategy to bolt on, just to create that omnipresence, so people feel like they're seeing you all over the place. They're getting your postcards. You're reaching out via cold call. Maybe you're sending text messages. They're seeing videos of you on Facebook, right? And it's extremely inexpensive. You can get full video views for, less than $1.
So real quick, guys. So like, Caleb, when you're hearing all of this from like an agent standpoint, because we do have agents listening in on this as well. Where's your mind going on the marketing front? How an agent can apply this to grow their not only investments but also even their core business of being an agent?
Yeah, no. So I like it. I like it on the agent side. The issue is you have to get really micro with that group on the agent side if you're going after. I think trying to blast out on the agent side, because like with the investing side, you can maybe get a little more niche. Agents, you just have to make sure you're being niche with the videos as well, and make sure you're hitting the same people you're hitting with the other marketing.
Yeah. So the problem with Facebook, and I think this is probably going on almost 2 years now, maybe a year and a half, is Facebook came in a couple years back. I think it was 2 summers ago, and they put in this new rule, because you used to be able to literally target zip codes, which was amazing. The problem with that is, you're essentially able to redline, and we all know in the mortgage side and the retail real estate side, redlining is illegal. And so they came in and they only allow you now to drop a pin and go 15 miles out. And 15 miles is pretty big, especially if you're like in an urban area. So that's why I say Facebook, I think, is a great bolt-on strategy. If you've got, $10 to $15, $5 to $15 a day to put into it. I've heard so many investors talk about how, kind of unexpected deals they were able to close just from these simple video ads. They've got introduced to realtors who had deals and were basically like, hey, are you buying in XYZ zip code? Are you buying in this area? So it's not as much of a, hey, I'm going to run an ad today and close a deal tomorrow. It's a little bit more of an awareness play and a branding play. And I know not a lot of people talk about branding, especially in real estate investing. But Jim, I know you guys have done a phenomenal job of branding yourselves in the St. Louis market. I mean, I see your guys' billboards. I see your guys' signs all over the place. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. Right. And so I do think that branding is a bit of a luxury, meaning like if you're just trying to close your first deal, I don't know if I'd go out and get a, beautiful logo and worry about branding a whole lot. I would just try to close my first deal. But I think branding as a byproduct is a huge thing that not enough people talk about, meaning if you're running Facebook ads, it should be under your company's name. Some people say you should run it under like Josh Buys Houses. I'm not a believer in that, because you're not really building your brand. You're not building the awareness for your company in the marketplace. And if you plan on being in business 3 to 5 to 10 years, brand does matter, because that's how you engineer referrals, right? What you do today is going to help you generate referrals 12 to 18 months down the road.
And on the agent side, it's starting out. We're talking about starting out. It's a lot more efficient just to buy direct leads. I mean, there's people that leads, and people hate on Zillow and they hate on Realtor.com.
Yeah, but it works.
It works. If you're an agent who has $500 a month to spend, don't put it in Facebook. The big brokerages right now, because they're trying to keep their money in house with you, they want you to run Facebook ads. There's a 1% conversion rate. Go buy leads from the big box and wait until you're selling $15, $20 million a year. And then when you can dump $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, that's when you start hitting the Facebook, big marketing and building your brand.
I totally agree with that. And I think, again, going back to using what's proven to work, like if you don't do that, you're kind of just swimming upstream. It's like everybody can hate on Zillow leads, but part of the reason people hate on Zillow leads is because they say, well, they're not good leads. Or people will say that with Facebook. They're like, oh, they're not good leads. Well, people are closing deals off of Zillow and they're closing deals off of Facebook. So it's not that the leads aren't good. One of the biggest problems I see, because, I've worked with a lot of agents as well. My dad's a loan officer here in St. Louis. So I've worked with a lot of his agent partners to kind of help them run ads and things. And one of the things I found is like some of these folks will wait 24, 48 hours before contacting somebody. And yeah, that lead's probably not going to be great if you're letting it sit there and get stale, because especially with Zillow, unless you're buying exclusive leads, which those are even more expensive. And I don't even know if they do that anymore. If you don't call them within the first 5 minutes, then somebody probably already talked to them. So that's one of the biggest things. If you're doing any type of online lead generation, whether it's Zillow or leads directly from your website, you got to pick up the phone and you got to be able to call them in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, there was a study done, and I mentioned this before. If you talk within the first 5 minutes, you're 400% more likely to get that and turn that into a client, turn that into a deal than if you let it go past 5 minutes.
Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to dorsadeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest.